Hi Taurus, Rosemary from Rosemary Astrology, and welcome to your October 2024 astrology. Let's talk about the eclipse because there's an eclipse taking place on the 7th of October, following the one on the 17th of September. I'm filming this a few days after, and I think it's eclipsing out my thought process because this is the second time I start the video. I'm scatterbrained today, and I seem to be all over the place. So I'm going to do this right this time. There is a solar eclipse, also called a new moon eclipse, on the 2nd at 2:45 p.m. That's in Eastern Time at 10 degrees of Libra. Remember, eclipses are powerful change elements. So on a new moon, we can talk about change in terms of a new beginning. But obviously, because eclipses cast shadow, things are happening in darkness and we're not really seeing them yet. I often find, endings and beginnings sort of hinge on one another. But do know, you don't have all the facts. You're not seeing something's happening in darkness. So we hold off starting something on an eclipse, taking sides, making a decision. I even say emitting an opinion because we're doing so, but we're doing so on partial information, or we're doing so with only part of the story. Especially, I think, for you, Taurus, as this concerns your 6th house, which is workplace, workload, co-workers. It is other jobs and duties you have, even if they're not paid employment. It's tenants and employees if you have them. It's our physical health as well. So all those lifestyle habits that either hinder or help our health. So need I say, this isn't the time at work, especially on the 2nd, and do try to give yourself even a week before or after. Sometimes it's hard to hold off that long, or we're being pressed, to make a decision or to, take a stand on something. But there's going to be information missing, definitely. And sometimes with an eclipse, there's a front story. So something could come up at work and you think, okay, this is what's happening, or this is the beginning, or this is ending and it must be this new thing coming in. But often there's a backstory going on as well, or that little story is just sort of the tip of the iceberg type of thing. Mercury is there to rate, conjunct everyone along for the ride. Mercury makes you particularly communicative. You're thinking a lot about maybe different things going on at work, maybe different options. You're sifting through a lot of information. Mercury is very quick-minded and has a lot to say. But again, try to play your cards close to your vest. Maybe you're going to see something, you're going to be doing all this perhaps research or checking, and you're going to notice something. But again, remember, around the eclipse time, the information is partial. The moon, who moves very quickly, will be full by the 17th in Aries at 24 degrees of Aries, of course, sitting across from the sun. So sun-moon opposition. Even after the moon has moved off and gone all the way around, do know until the 22nd, the sun stays in your 6th house. So your focus continues on work-related matters. This is like your yearly check-in. So, is everything okay with work? Are there things you want to change? Maybe you're actually thinking of changing jobs. Maybe you're thinking of changing positions within your job. And Mercury continues there until the 13th. They'll start to pull apart, but Mercury will still be there. So your thoughts are still turned towards that aspect as well. Now, full moon on the 17th, sun and moon opposition. This is very much your inner world where you go to get quiet, to check in with yourself. It is quite isolated. When we talk about the 12th house, it's isolated. It is what we keep secret. It is related to secrets. So it is things we don't really want to share with others. As much as this in the 6th house is where we're sort of out in service to others, where we're getting work done, where we're accomplishing things. This is where we're alone with our thoughts, alone with ourselves. It always has to do with all the practices related to that as well. So if you think of therapy, if you think of a meditation, if you have another way you spend quiet moments really getting in touch with yourself or looking inwards, usually something we do alone and don't really share, at least don't share the thought process with others. So the full moon can highlight something, can bring something even to a culmination, not as intense as an eclipse, but do give yourself a few days on either side. This full moon is going to square Mars sitting in your 3rd house of communications. Not exact. Mars will be at 22 degrees. The full moon is at 24 degrees. is also going to square the sun. I'll probably do a video talking about that, but the particularity of this square is the moon is in Mars's sign and Mars is in the moon sign, and Mars is very intense. Mars, can be combative, really wants to stand up for something, can get triggered quite easily as well. Mars can be somewhat of a hothead at times. So not only do you have this extra emotion around the days around the full moon, but it's as if Mars is pushing you to do something, or to speak out, or to say something. That increased emotion, Taurus, of the full moon is going to be even more amplified. Is that redundant? Is going to be amplified by Mars, because Mars is adding like an extra irritation, like, oh, really not going to take this, or, you really have to say something, or, this is really the last straw type of thing. That's very much Mars energy, especially square to the full moon, an aspect of chafing with a planet that is, quite zesty as well. Probably the zestiest of all the planets. Mars is really, really quick to react. By the 13th, Mercury has moved into your 7th house of partnerships. Venus is already there and will be there until the 17th, the day of the full moon. So committed partners, life partners, business partners, also our exes as well. It can be rivals in the competition, very, very close relationships, like a very, very close friendship, the idea of mentor, mentoree, all those, as much as our first house, Taurus, is self, this is other, and it is significant other. So again, Mercury can have you very communicative. Maybe you're discussing things with a partner. Maybe you've been discussing things with an ex. Good time to do that while Venus is there. Venus, of course, is charming and diplomatic. Really does want to forge that connection with other people. So if you are in a committed partnership, it can be deepening even more. You're going to reaffirm your commitment to one another. Maybe you're just spending more intimate moments together. If you're in a relationship, it can be moving to the next level. Maybe this is the time you're discussing it a lot, again, with Mercury there. Even with an ex, if it's time to smooth things over, or, there's something you have to talk about, great to have Venusian energy there as well. It can just be forging that connection more with a business partner. Also, Venus in Scorpio has a bit of an advantage. Scorpio is a very incisive sign, can really see below the surface. So whoever this is concerning, Venus not only wants us to strengthen that relationship, and she does so very diplomatically and very charmingly, but she can really see below the surface, or, sort of behind the mask. So if someone is saying something but they're not feeling it, or they're saying something but they're sort of thinking or feeling something else, Venus will really allow you to see what's going on. I wrote, and we often hear this, Venus in Scorpio can be underhanded, can be manipulative. I would just say she has a bit of an advantage to really sense what's going on with that other person. Do know before she leaves on the 17th, from the 12th to the 17th, she is going to oppose Uranus sitting in your sign. Uranus, of course, is all about freedom, breaking away. A lot of sudden disruptive events with Uranus, who has really been shaking things up for us, Taurus. I am a Taurus sun. We're quite a stable sign, so this has been interesting since 2018. Maybe a lot of changes with how you show up for others, or just breaking free from the way things have always been. Of course, this is self, this is other. This can be the need for more freedom. I'm not saying your partnership is going to fall apart, definitely not. But there's an idea of maybe an upheaval of some sort, an unpredicted event. It can be something that you initiate, it can be something that happens to you. But usually, it can mark an upset in relationships because of that need for freedom. So maybe you are going to, just say, hey, I need more freedom in this aspect, or I can't do this exactly like this anymore. Again, I don't do scary astrology. This, doesn't mean everything is going to fall apart. But with this opposition to Uranus for those few days, even a little bit before and after, I always look at a really, really close orb. So this is when it is most intense, from the 12th to the 17th. You're really going to be getting that feeling, or maybe it's an energy, right? So it doesn't, I'm going to try to say this properly. It doesn't mean it is necessarily happening, but you're really going to be getting the feeling of that need for freedom, or you're going to be examining how much freedom you have, or the energy is going to be there to see if you're feeling enough freedom, that idea again with Uranus of breaking away or breaking free. So just very, Uranus upsets things, always with the goal of having us, of course, evolve, but can do things, I always say, in fits and starts. So that'll be interesting to see what is going on there for those few days. By the 17th, the last day of this, Venus moves into your 8th house in Sagittarius. Great energy. Venus is also related to money. If the 7th house is other, this is other people's money. So financing, scholarships, grants of any sort, inheritances as well. Venus can just be very, very beneficial energy. She is going to be, of course, sitting across, well, not opposed, but sitting across or from Jupiter in your 2nd house of your wealth. Very interesting to have Jupiter there, and Jupiter will be there until 2025. So great ways maybe of helping your partner increase their revenue, maybe just, having you very easily come into money, if I can put it that way. If you have to ask for a loan or a grant of some sort, or, maybe you're asking for someone, this has to do always shared property and shared finances. So if you're making an ask of any sort with Venus's charming energy, you're going to do that very diplomatically and very charmingly, and others will probably want to help you with that, with whatever you need. As much as Jupiter is the greater benefic, Venus is the lesser benefic. So it's just an idea of, opportunities sometimes or often coming through others, or just sometimes, a stroke of luck, and often through someone else, because again, Venus, as much as she is about money, is also all about relationships. On the 22nd, the sun is going to shift into your 7th house, maybe just continuing this conversation of whatever was going on with Venus there and with Mercury there, and of course with this opposition to Uranus, just highlighting that area. So again, our month-long yearly check-in is beginning. Do we want to change anything? What needs to be modified? What is working? What isn't working? The sun is just a great big spotlight and a lot of energy. So this is highlighted. It is in bright light, and our energy is turned towards there. Before I wrap this up, let's talk about Mars. Coming back to Mars, feisty Mars, sitting in your 3rd house, will be there all month of October, has been there since last month, since towards the end of last month, but will definitely be there all of October and into November. This is all your communications, so online, written, spoken. It's even our thought process as well, or our inner dialogue. It is siblings, cousins, relatives, even our neighbors. It's whatever is familiar to us, and it's our short trips. So, we say day trips, weekend getaways, as much as the 9th house is a long-distance travel or foreign travel. So somewhere that takes, quite a while to get to and is far away. This, you can think same region or same state or same province. It's also grade school, high school education, if that concerns you. It is also rumors and gossip, something Mars will not like at all and will really stand up to. Do know Mars, and this is what I wanted to talk about, is going to start slowing down by the 5th of October at 17 degrees of Cancer. Now, Mars stations retrograde in 2024, does so about every 2 years. Won't do that until December 6th, so it's a bit of a ways off, but is already beginning his slowdown. Will do so even more so in November, and more as we get into November. Mars is going to be going slower and slower. Kind of difficult when you're a planet that's all about going forward and going forward very dynamically and getting the job done and reaching the goal. So I wrote in my notes, if you have something to do in this aspect, if you are putting out content, if you're writing something, if you're contributing, if you have a blog, if you post a lot, if you're contributing to something like a magazine, a newsletter, if there's something you also want to say or settle with siblings or cousins or other relatives, do keep using Mars now while he is still pretty much full steam ahead. As I said, he's slowing a little bit, but it is nothing too dramatic. And I wanted to put this on your radar for all of us, actually, Taurus, because I don't want it to come as a surprise when you think as we get towards the end of October, seems I'm not, really getting as much done, or things seem to not really be progressing as much as they should in this area. That's not going to be your imagination. It is Mars definitely starting to slow down. So I'm giving everybody the heads up on that. So lovely, Taurus. This is everything I wanted to tell you for October. Hope it was helpful. Drop me a comment. Let me know. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.